Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha.
Oh, I love it.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Jaysin Static with another episode of, wait a minute, this ain't the interview series. This is the pro wrestling debate where I take two wrestlers and have them debate a topic. They can either agree or they can disagree. And we see how it goes from there. Vincent Sawyer, EagleEye. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Can a tendency of some professional wrestling fans to prioritize the in-ring product over the aspects of the sport, such as storytelling and character development, be seen as a form of purism and dedication to the sport? Or is it a form of narrow-mindedness and lack of appreciation for the complexities of professional wrestling?
These are long questions.
You want to say it again?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll give it in two parts. Can the tendency of some professional wrestling fans to prioritize the in-ring product over other aspects of the sport, such as storytelling and character development, be seen as a form of purism and dedication to the sport?
In a way, I think it depends on the company.
Okay.
So you see companies like PWE that were just primarily, hey, let's throw a couple people together and just have them do fun matches. If you have a company like that, sure, because that's mostly about the wrestling. It's mostly about, hey, what can you do in the ring? I think it's a detriment in other places.
Okay.
I think it's just fans wanting to see flippy shit and see big moves, and so I think it could be a detriment.
Detriment, huh? So when we're talking about like the in-ring product, are you just talking about the moves in the match in general, or are you just talking about
the moves in the match in general? That's it.
The moves in the match in general. So if you just set up something, this is literally what I said in one of the past interviews, is that people just throw matches together because there's no real storytelling, and that's what fans have to be content with. And I think that is not entirely on the fans. It's also on booking and on whoever books that, you know. I think that it's up to a promoter and a company to put together matches that make sense and build up certain people to the way that they want to do it, and then involve them in the stories that are going to grab the attention. If you don't do any of that, you're really just like Vincent said, you're just detrimenting it, because you're making it where fans have to be content with being amazed and in awe of the moves. And so, yeah, I really think it's just one of those. I don't know if it's entirely narrow mindsetedness. I don't think that's entirely the case. I think it plays into both ways, both on promoters and companies and fans in general. It really depends on what your crowd type is, and that doesn't really, you know, you gotta get a feel for that. You're not gonna know that firsthand. You're not, you know, when you go to a new place, you're not gonna know, oh, these fans, they love the 80s, 90s style. Oh, these fans, they love this. What if they don't love our story? You know, it's just like, there's levels to it. There's ways to build around it and create a product that's best for everyone, I feel like. So
do you think that it's do you see it as a lack of appreciation for the deeper complexities of what professional wrestling is, compared to just the, you know, the in-ring aspects of it, just pure in-ring athleticism? Those are complex. But there's even more complexities to professional wrestling when it comes into character development, story, you know, creating stories that people actually want to see and hear, the drama of it, the pageantry of professional wrestling. And sometimes in some companies, you have less of that and more geared towards just the pure athleticism. So do you think that some fans prioritize that over the more complex sides?
I think it depends on who the fans are, because everybody in this world is different. Let's just be realistic.
Right.
But like, some fans will have favorites that they could care less who they're wrestling. They could care less what the story is. They could care less what any of it is. As long as it's their favorite wrestler going out there and doing what they do, then maybe that's all they want to see. But I think that in a bigger view of things, when you have guys like Bray Wyatt, right? And everybody's like, what is up with these QR codes? What's up with this? This might be stupid. There's no real story, yada, yada. Some people just weren't about it. They just totally tore it down. And even on Bray's first run, Vince was kind of like, yeah, you know, half in, half out, it seemed like. And I don't think that character in specific really got to play to the extent of it because of hindering and both fans who control the product. That's a thing. The fans control the product, and also the promoter. And it's really, it's one of those just hard things to really talk about, because you don't know what you want to do with your character. Like Bray had a thing in mind, but it might not get to where he wants it to be because of fans being, this is taking too long, this is doing this, I'm ready for action. And then there's some fans who are like, no, I'm in it for the long run. And then you have to kind of listen to the majority almost, unless you make them wait. And I think specifically just Bray Wyatt, I think that first run they didn't want to wait for it, you know. And then now we're in this Triple H era where he's making you wait to see these things with the Wyatt family. It took forever, but like, if it pays off, I think a lot of people get a little too impatient. Yeah, they're just kind of go.
I think that has to do with modern technology. I sound like an old man here, but you know, the introduction of the internet and, you know, mostly highlight reels and clips. You know, we used to trade tapes, and that meant trading the entire match.
Right.
And now I feel like the newest generation of fans are big into, and it's kind of what you said. You know, they're not patient. You know, they want it now because they watch highlight clips of matches, and you don't get the in between. You don't get the rests. You don't get the setups for anything. You don't get the spacing that needs to happen during wrestling matches. You know, these clips, they last like, and yeah, what people can do in wrestling nowadays is incredible.
Right.
But people aren't seeing the entire match. They're seeing clips of matches. And they're thinking, well, that's what wrestling is. That's wrestling. And then they go to a show and they're like, why is this taking forever?
Okay.
And I think a lot of promoters, I think if they space it out, you know, build your story, but during some shows, yeah, throw a guy who's in a story in there with somebody who maybe is not in a story, but is a good worker, and just let them cook. Just let them go out there and let them have a really good match and show what they can do. I think if you can space it out enough, it's not a terrible thing. It's not a detriment to anyone's career. I think if you give people time frames in which they can have matches that show off what they can do, you just tell them, hey, go out there, hit your big stuff. You know, this match, per your story, maybe not the most important, but for the fans liking you, could be pretty important.
Okay.
And to add to that, it's not, I should be more specific, because it's not always the fans and the promoters who, you know, are the end-all be-all too. It's also the wrestlers. And what we get told a lot, and I know you've said it to us before, if you can't tell a story in 5 minutes, then why do you get to tell a story in 15? Because you can't. You won't. I think that in that in-ring product, it's up to you to create things that if promoters aren't going to give you a full, solid story to go throughout the year, then you have to make the most of what you got. And you go in those matches and you show off your character. You do what you need to do to tell a story in the ring. And it's really at that point, it's up to the fans to either comprehend it and give you that kind of feedback on your social media and stuff, because we're in that era. And it's also up to promoters to be like, hey, that was cool, or this was crap. Let's not do this, or let's do this again. Stick with that, you know. It's just I think this question is very complex, because there's three groups of people you're really having to talk to about all of that. You got the fans, the wrestlers, and the promoters that book this stuff. So it's all different opinions that I think that Vincent and I alone can't sit here and opinionate about, because it's a very broad view of the business and what we do in the ring.
And there's multiple different promoters. They all want something different.
Right.
There's multiple different wrestlers, and they all want something different.
Well, that's the complexities of what the debate is yeah, you're right about what, you know, there is three different factions here that you have to think about. But in that same breath, the ideas and concepts of talking about this stuff and being able to flesh out things a little bit better, that's what the whole purpose of this is. So from what I'm getting at, you guys are pretty much in agreement with each other.
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much debate on this, you know. As sad as this might be for your debut episode, sorry. It's just one of those things that I feel like is a broader topic, and I think if we went to go expand on it, you know, it's really, like I've said over and over, it's the three groups, and everybody's different, and it's hard to appeal to everybody and what they do and how they want their wrestling to be, because I've said before in an interview with you that wrestling, I think, is for everybody, because there's different things for everybody in wrestling.
Right. Okay.
And it's hard to make all of that work and make sense and show people the complexities of the characters if the wrestler doesn't put enough effort into it, if a promoter doesn't believe in it, and if the fans don't care about it. It's so hard to work with all three groups, but that's...
Sometimes you have all three things working for you, and sometimes you have all three things working against you.
Right. You have all three things working for you. I think that's just the formula for a superstar. But it's going to have to come with your work, your hard work, your dedication, your gimmick, and how you put that into work. It's up to you to convince the fans that you're worth their time and money.
Right.
And then it's also up to you to convince the promoters that you're worth getting booked and their time and money and their investment in you. And if you don't put in that work, then it all just crumbles. And if you're out there, and I watched one with Mustafa Ali literally like 2 hours ago, where he was talking about retribution, and he was like, yeah, we tried to make it work, but Vince wouldn't let us get the airtime because they couldn't get behind the idea. The fans couldn't get behind the faction and the idea because there wasn't a why told.
Right.
And that's...
So do both of you guys think that why is one of the most important things that wrestlers and promoters, bookers, can do?
Yeah. I think that you have to know your why anyway, because, and this is just, I guess we'll just call it a shoot. You got to know what your why is in real life. You know, why are you doing this?
Right.
Why do you want to get beat up every week? You know, why do you want to go out there and wrestle in front of fans who might not care about you? Why do you want to go out in front of a promoter who might go, yeah, that really sucked. You shouldn't be here. What's your why, you know? Because now you have to work harder to make that why a reason as to why the promoter invests in you. And I think when the promoter invests in you and sees that why, they put more effort and more time into your gimmick that you have to reciprocate and then do the same thing for them. It's a give and take. Always a give and take.
I think the why is very important. I also think the how is pretty important. You know, how are you going to get to that point? If you have a why, and it's very important to have, but it's not working for you, then how are you going to get there?
Okay.
How are you going to convince that promoter that you're worth it? How are you going to get better? How are you going to get the fans behind you?
Right. Essentially, how are you going to sell yourself to them?
Yeah, and like if your current how isn't working, take a step back, reevaluate it, and find a different how.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's the pro wrestling debate. From what I see here, we're pretty much in agreement, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, with that being said, do we have anything to promote? Upcoming shows, Vincent, upcoming shows, EagleEye, merchandise sites, websites, Pro Wrestling Tees, social medias, anything like that?
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Epic presents Smack Always Sunny in Salem, February 1st, 2025.
Yeah, on that same show, I'll be wrestling the Modern Man, Calvin Coco, my brother. Nothing but love, but I got to go for that gold. So come on out and come watch it.
Social medias?
And yeah, social medias. How could I forget? It's you got to go on Instagram, find me at TheOfficialEagleEye, or go on Facebook and just look up EagleEye. I'll be there. New merch coming soon.
Facebook, Vincent Sawyer, and Instagram is Vincent Sawyer Pro.
All right, guys, we're going to run it out just like we always do. Jaysin Static across all social media. Fight Club Wrestling Academy across all social media. And we have some merch coming. I have a new concept for this merch thing. And when I drop it, it's going to be fucking awesome. You two know it. It's going to be fucking cool. I promise you it's going to be cool. But other than that, guys, much love. Appreciate it. Sometimes on debates we agree. Sometimes we disagree. This just happened to be one that we agreed on. Vincent, appreciate you, man. EagleEye, appreciate you, man. Thank you guys once again.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for putting me up against such a great master debater.
I don't even think that's PG.
Damn.